Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of our podcast, broadcast here from the Bamboo Lab. Today is January 31st, 2022, and it's a warmer day up here in the upper part of Michigan. 22 degrees, I think we had today, and that's a heat wave for us. You know, it's been a great start to the week, at least on my end. Kelly and I are flying out to Utah, Park City, Utah, Wednesday morning early. So I'm really jamming a lot of coaching sessions into Monday and Tuesday. So had the privilege of conducting 10 fantastic sessions with 10 amazing performers and strivers in this world. As most of you know, this is the Bamboo Lab podcast, new, unfiltered, and designed for you. As long as you are a striver, a thriver, a survivor, a person who strives for peak performance, someone who maybe feels like maybe you're on the hamster wheel of life, just kind of kicking it, not going anywhere. Maybe you feel that you have just so much to offer to yourself and your family and society, and there's just more inside you. If you think you've already reached that pinnacle of success, please turn me off. I didn't write this material for you. I want people who are not all about perfection, but about progress. And today we're going to take one more step together toward that progress. Michaelangelo, probably the most renowned artist, sculptor of all time, was paid to sculpt an angel on the outside of a cathedral. And when he was done, he was asked, "How did you do it?" And his quote, I think, is probably the most meaningful quote ever said by a human being in the history of our species. He said, "I simply saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. Wow, that's some good stuff. Because the idea is, we all have an angel in us. A figurative angel, of course. And let's discuss how we can set him or her free today. You know, life is an adventure, man. It's a battle, it's a test, it's a challenge. But it's not a competition between you and others. And that's how we oftentimes see it. It's an opportunity. It's simply an opportunity for you to be a better version today than you were yesterday. A better version tomorrow than you are today. It's entirely about progress and not at all about perfection. And each day, each moment provides us with an opportunity to progress, to improve, and to grow. You know, we sometimes fall into this trap about ruminating on our past failures and some of our shithead decisions. We allow those things to define our self-identity. That's not the way to go. All of us this morning woke up on this beautiful Monday morning. We all put our feet on our floor next to the side of the bed. And instantly, as soon as you did that, you identified as a specific human being. You self-identified. It happens unconsciously, for the most part. You might have identified as an energetic person, a happy person, a sad person, an unmotivated person, a cheat, an honorable person. There's a plethora of adjectives that we describe ourselves with. This is unintentional. And this unintentional self-identity that we carry within us, that we're not even fully consciously aware of, it defines and controls every single aspect of our lives. So the way you self-identified this morning when you got out of bed has set the stage for everything you have felt, everything you have said, everything you have done, and everything you have thought today. Everything. If you thought you were a cheat, you walked around cheating. If you thought you were an honorable person, you walked around being honorable. You see, When we're born, up until probably the age of 2 or 3, and I don't have any scientific evidence on this, I'm not a child rearing expert, but up until about that age, we live our true peak identity, our TPI. And that is today's topic, our TPI. You lived it, man. I get the beautiful benefit of watching my brand new 6-month-old grandson, Jack, begin to have those urges to grow. You know, he held his head up for a while. Then he could sit up for a while. Then he can roll over for a while. And he's scooching around now. And it won't be long before he'll be crawling. Then he'll be taking those first steps. Then he'll be walking effectively and efficiently. Then he's going to want to run. Mom and Dad can't stop him. I sure as hell can't stop him. Nobody can stop the determination and belief of a child. Try it. We've all tried it for the most part. They strive to grow, and in their minds they are perfection, and there's nothing they can't do. I've watched it with all of my children in every aspect of their lives until a certain age. And that age is probably, somewhere between 2, 3, 4, I don't know, maybe 5. In that early stages of our existence anyway, something happens. Somebody starts putting that marble around the angel. Our parents do it to us. Your teachers did it to you. The media does it to you. Your friends do it to you. Things that you did that maybe other people aren't even aware of, that were not so good, or maybe they were good. They glommed onto you. They stuck to you, and you still carry those elements around. So at a certain point in life, we're walking around with a false identification of who we are. Because deep down, each one of us is still that child. We're still pure as hell inside. That angel is still in that marble. It's just trapped under layers and layers of weighted dysfunction and false misrepresentation of our true identity. I'm sure a lot of you at one point in life carried a fake ID around. Got to get in the bars, got to be able to buy beer, got to get into those parties. We still are, for the most part. So the question I'm going to ask you is, who are you? If somebody walked up and said, who are you? You'd say, I'm Brian Bosley. That's not who you are. That's just a label. That's a name. Because I looked under Google today, and there are a lot of Brian Bosleys in the world. So how can we all be Brian Bosley? Now, who are you? Deep down, under all that trappings of marble and experience and dysfunction and self-labeling and other people's labels, who are you? And who do you want to become? This podcast, if nothing, is all about helping you become the best version of yourself. Your TPI, your true peak identity. So we're going to talk a little bit about the true peak identity for the next few moments here. I'm going to give you an exercise. And I want you to really consider doing this, because I can tell you, I've been coaching individuals, high performers and strivers and thrivers and survivors for the past 25 years now. I'm in my 26th year of this. It's mind-boggling. I don't know how it went so quickly. And I can tell you that there's nothing I have ever shared with anyone that is more powerful than this. Everything I've ever shared with anyone, my clients, my loved ones, myself, it's all window dressing compared to this. Because no matter how quality or phenomenal the ideas that I've shared in the past or coached on or spoken on or written about, they're all fluff if we don't have this down first. This is the engine and the transmission and the chassis of the car you're driving in life. So today we're going to help you identify who you really are inside. 27 years ago, I was a young training manager with a company called IDS Financial Services. I was living in Detroit, Michigan, in a double-wide trailer in a trailer park. I was young, I was new, I was naive, and I was miserably unhappy. I didn't like the direction I was going with my life. Something seemed off. It just didn't seem right. It wasn't the right fit for me. Wasn't making the money I wanted. Wasn't getting the autonomy I wanted. So I was in my bedroom one day reading a book by Tony Robbins. And I'm not going to sit here and sponsor Tony Robbins. I think a lot of Tony Robbins stuff is cotton candy. And I'm not a big fan of cotton candy. But one thing that I found in that book was actually a solid 8-course meal. And he said something really simple. He said, if you don't like who you are, redesign who you are. And to paraphrase a little bit and to shorten it, he said, every day get up in the morning and say, I am amazing. I am an incredible leader. I am incredibly healthy and energetic. I am honorable. Well, I thought, what the hell? I have nothing to lose. I'm not happy where I am now in life. So I started doing it every morning. For 25 and a half years, I said that every day. It was like brushing my teeth or washing my face or tying my shoes. I just did it naturally, habitually. Didn't even think about whether to do it or not. It just happened. And then maybe about a year and a half ago, I was walking with my dog and I started contemplating and pontificating on my life a bit. And I'm wondering, why has my life gone in the direction it's gone? I feel pretty blessed. I feel honored to have the friends I have, the family I have, the health I have, the business I have, and the passion that I have. Why? And it all came back to that one simple lesson. Tell myself who I am and I'll become that person. But there was still something a little bit, shallow about it. And I started asking myself, well, if this is so powerful, then why am I not coaching my clients on this? So I realized in that same walk, I don't have a process for it. I don't have a structure. I just get up and say it. So I sat down that weekend and started writing out what I now identify for you as the true peak identity. And I firmly believe I'm not a betting man, I'm not a gambler, and I don't make promises. But if I was any or all of those, I would right now bet my last 7 paychecks and my next 7 paychecks. If you do this the way I have designed it for you, you will be a completely different person by the end of this year. The weight you want to lose will be gone. The confidence you want to have will be there. The money you want to make will start to come in. All the things you want are based on who you think you are. So if you don't have what you want, change who you think you are. So let's start the process here. I'd like you to think about, what roles do you play in life? What are the primary roles you play in life? We all have a multitude of roles. Many of them are similar. We all play, for the most part, we're a son or daughter of someone. Many of us are parents. A select group of us are fortunate enough to be grandparents. We're husbands, wives, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends. What do you do professionally? That's a role you play. But also you play the role of yourself. And we can't forget that. So list your primary roles. I'll give you mine. I'm a partner with Kelly. I'm a dad and bonus dad to 6 individual human beings. I'm a grandpa to my little Jack, my little cubby bear. I'm a son to my mom and dad. I'm a creator, writer, speaker, leader, podcaster, and consultant. But then I'm also myself. I'm a person who must take care of myself intellectually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. That's a major role. Without that role, I can't help the others. So list your 5 to 7 primary roles. Don't list them all. You don't want to say, I'm a shopper on Amazon. I'm a neighbor to 5 people. Those are minor roles. Those are peripheral. Unless your neighbors are an incredibly important part of your life, and put it. Write those roles down. Take a moment and pause this podcast and just list them out. Come back to them, change them, add to it, subtract from it later on, but at least get 5 or 7 key roles that you play in life. Now that you list the roles that you play, the primary roles, ask yourself, if I was perfection in that role, perfect, flawless, what would it look like? What would that mean? If you were the perfect grandpa or the perfect daughter, what would that look like? Write it out. For instance, for my role as a parent, a bonus dad and dad, mine is listed as I am a loving, caring, fully engaged dad and bonus dad to my children. I'm a role model, advisor, and someone to whom they can always turn for advice and direction. To me, that's the perfect dad. So that's what I wrote. List that out for each role. I'm the most amazing, loving, understanding, respectful, appreciative, honorable, protective husband to my wife, or vice versa. List and tell yourself what that role in its perfection would look like. And when you write that out, write it in the I am statement. Not I will be, or I'd like to be, or I plan to be, or I hope to be. I am. I am. Because here's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to lie to our brain. Our brain is designed to look for the negative. Our brains are designed, our amygdala in our brain is designed to notice and look for threats. That's how we've stayed alive for so long and advanced as a species. You know, if all of us today were to get together and we were going to see a scary movie, let's just say we're going to see Jaws. We all know who Jaws is, I'm going to assume. We would walk in that theater, we would get our popcorn, our Skittles, our Milky Ways, our pop soda. We would sit down intellectually on the left side of our brain where all the rational thought is. We would know we're not in danger. We're safe. We're with a bunch of friends. We got a bunch of good junk food, and we're watching a silver screen. Nothing can harm me. But guess what? As soon as that music starts to build, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun 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 dun, all of a sudden what happens? Heart rate increases. Blood pressure goes up. We start to sweat a little bit. We start shifting in our seats. And as soon as that shark or that monster comes across the screen in that rapid, in-your-face motion, we jump, we scream, we sweat. Some people cry. We grab the arm of the chair. We close our eyes. Our pupils might dilate. All these things happen to us physiologically and mentally and emotionally, even though we know we're perfectly safe. Because what happened in that moment is your right side of your brain was convinced, it was tricked, it was lied to, and it was told that you are in danger, and you reacted accordingly. Your thoughts, your feelings, the words you said, and your bodily reactions, the action you took, all reacted to that. That's human nature. Why not turn that process around and convince it of something that's positive, that's powerful, that's impactful in your life long term? That's all you're doing here. You're telling yourself something that probably isn't true yet, because this is perfection, right? What you've listed on that piece of paper is perfection. You're not there yet. I'm not there yet. We'll never get there. But we'll get damn close, and we'll get closer every day. And we'll get a whole lot closer than we would have had we not done this exercise and followed this process. When I started doing this 27 years ago, even through the 27 years of doing it, or 25, until I changed this process and made it more structured and changed the way I do it, this process I'm teaching you today, I still deep down thought it was a bunch of psychobabble bullcrap. I thought it was this new age mystical thing. It's just nice and warm and fuzzy. But what really has convinced me, number one, is it's kept me out of jail or the morgue over the past 27 years. But the other thing that's changed me, a couple other things, is I've seen, since I've changed the structure of how I do it every day, the way I'm teaching you today, I have seen a major change in my life, emotionally, intellectually, physically, and spiritually. And the third thing that's made me very convinced of this is just something that we've been hearing a lot on the news lately. It's science. Now, this is actual science. Neuroscience has shown through studying the brain through fMRI, which is just a functioning magnetic resonance imaging machine, that the brain physically changes when you do this. It changes. The cellular and molecular structure of your brain physically changes. They can literally watch it with their eyes through these machines just by this exercise. There's a fantastic book out there called The Brain That Changes Itself. I forget the author's name. He's a neuroscientist. And there's a multitude of books and research and studies and articles and podcasts and TED Talks and videos and things of that have proven this over and over, that this is what happens. It's just like your muscles. When you work out and you run, your lungs change, your legs muscles change. When you lift weights, your arms and your back and your shoulders and your triceps, your stomach changes. You work on something, the molecular and physical structure of your brain changes, or of your body changes. It does the same thing with your brain. This just has a great deal more impact because everything starts with your brain. So now that you've got your 5 to 7 key jugular roles written down, and you have described yourself as the perfect version in that role, and you've done it in the sense of I am, not I want to be, I will be, but I am that person. I'm going to give one more caveat before we go on to the next step, and that is make sure you're not putting something that says, I no longer lay on the couch and eat Fritos. You'd put, I am an energetic, healthy, athletic woman. I had one client who was doing this exercise last year, and he said, when I read his TPI, when he sent it to me, it said, I no longer drink alcohol. He was fighting an addiction. And what we sometimes have to realize is the right side of our brain is not good at noticing things like don'ts and can'ts and won'ts and doesn't. It doesn't hear those things really quickly. You yell at a child who's running toward the street, don't run across the street. Their subconscious brain doesn't hear the don't. It hears run across the street. So what you want to say is stay on this side of the street. That's a whole different way for the brain to hear it. So in a case like the client that I had with the alcohol problem, I said, don't phrase it that way. Say, instead of I no longer drink alcohol, say, I am a sober man. So these are all in the affirmative. They're all positive. So now that you've done that, you've got your roles down, you described yourself as the perfect version in that role, and you said it in I am, and you avoided the negatives like don'ts and can'ts and won'ts. Now, the next thing is simple. Every morning when you get out of bed, within the first hour, pick it up and read it out loud to yourself. Every night, in that last hour before you go to sleep, pick it up, read it out loud to yourself. In the morning when you do this exercise, you are actually giving your brain marching orders, saying, this is who I am today, act accordingly. So the things you think, feel, say, and do are going to follow that marching order. Not perfectly. And it's going to be chunky and clunky at the beginning. And then at night, when you tell yourself this, your TPI, share your TPI to yourself out loud, you're giving your brain something to process while you sleep. Because the brain does the vast majority of its processing while you're sleeping. Give it something to process. Give it something to get into that deep subconscious. And that starts to transform who you are. It transforms who you are and gets you closer and closer and closer and closer to that angel in the marble. You're going to notice some changes within the first 10 to 14 days. You will. Every one of my clients who has done this has said the same thing. And I did. When I changed the way I do this exercise, when I created this TPI a year and a half ago, a year and 3 months ago, I noticed within the first couple of weeks, wow, I'm thinking different thoughts. I have different feelings. I'm saying different words. I'm doing things differently, better, stronger, more powerful. You'll notice it. And then in a few more weeks, you'll notice more. And then in a few months, you'll notice a great deal more. And by the end of this year, if you do this exercise, you will be much, much, much closer to that true peak person that you are inside. That person you were when you were 3 years old, where nothing could defeat you, nothing was impossible, you never gave up. You were pure at heart, pure in your soul, pure in your mind. You'll be so much closer to that. We are the only living creature who has the ability to do this. We are the only living creature in the history of this planet who has ever had the ability to do this. To live consciously at our peak level. Don't mess it up. Don't waste it. You know, I shared in the first podcast that my goal is just the opposite. It's the opposite side of the same coin as my biggest fear. My biggest fear is when I die on my deathbed, I will not have lived to my true peak level. And for much of my life, and still to many parts of my life, I don't. I mess up constantly. But every night, this is a reminder. Every day, this is a reminder. Keep going. My biggest goal in life is when I do die, well over 100, that when I am just closing my eyes, I meet the greatest version, a man who is the best man I've ever met in my life, the greatest possible version of himself. And I shake his hand. And that man is me. You know, I don't know a lot of you, but trust me when I say I do care about you. And I just want what's best for you. I want what's best for your family, for your clients, for your friends, for your family, for your peers, for your boss. I want what's best for that person you meet at Walmart next week who doesn't open the door for you and slams the door on your cold face. Because if we can live at our true peak identity and we get closer and closer every day, it benefits every single living human around you. From your loved ones to your coworkers and clients and peers and bosses to that person who's rude to you, who you don't even know. Because it literally and physically and changes you. It makes you a better human. Your true peak identity is everything. So my challenge as we wrap up here today is to go out there. Start this exercise. If you have challenges, call me, email me, text me. I'm not going to give my email and text out, my phone number out on every podcast, but it's in the first one. Go back and listen to it. And at the end of the podcast, I give information. If you're struggling with it, I'd love to help you. And I'll do my best to post my actual true peak identity that I do read every morning out loud. And I do read it every night out loud. So that it can use as a template. I'm not sure I know how to do that yet on this podcast, but I'll try my best to post a visual of this so you can download it and print it off. You don't need to copy it. Mine's mine. Yours is different. But you maybe as a template to get an understanding of what we're talking about here. So today again is January 31st, 2022. Today is the first day to get out there and see that angel that's in that marble, that's covered in that marble, and carve and carve and carve and carve until you set that angel free. Good night, everyone. Have a great, fantastic, positive, productive, and profitable week. And I look forward to next Monday, same time, same place from the Bamboo Lab.